First contender tonight is Teresa de Billo, a project coordinator from the Highlands. She's answering questions on the Olympics. Richard Cheney is a communication support worker from Cardiff. His specialist subject, the Tolpuddle Martyrs. Next, Pam Poole, a retired Royal Mail manager from Boston, on Egyptian gods and goddesses. Ben Holmes is a customer service advisor from Salford. He's answering questions on the graphic novels of Daniel Clowes. And tonight's final contender, Philip Isaac, a tutor from Cornwall, who's answering questions on President Andrew Jackson. Hello. And welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. 5 contenders tonight. That's because it's the semi-finals, and the winner tonight goes through to the grand final with a very strong chance of becoming the nation's mastermind. They get slightly less time, 90 seconds for their specialist subject, 2 minutes for general knowledge. So let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name is?
Teresa de Billo.
Your occupation?
Project coordinator.
And your chosen subject?
Olympic track and field, 1976 to 1992.
In 90 seconds, starting now. What was the nationality of Tina Lilac, who won the silver medal in the javelin in Los Angeles in 1984?
Finnish.
She was. Who became the oldest winner of the women's high jump in Los Angeles 12 years after she became the youngest woman to win the event?
Ulrika Mayfath.
Yes, in a men's field event, all the medals were won by competitors from the Soviet Union or its former republics from 1976 to 92, except in 84, when the Games were boycotted by the Soviets. Which event?
Shot put.
Hammer. Who came 8th in the women's javelin in Moscow in 1980 when she failed to win a 3rd successive gold medal in the event?
Ruth Fuchs.
Yes. Who finished 18th when he first entered the Olympic decathlon in Montreal in 1976 and 4th in his last Olympics in Seoul?
Daley Thompson.
Yes. What track double was achieved for the first time at the same Games by Valerie Briscoe-Hooks in 1984? Michael Johnson repeated the feat in 96.
200 and 400.
Yes. Who was initially disqualified from her 7th place in the 3,000 metres final in Los Angeles but was reinstated on appeal?
Zola Budd.
Yes, in 1984, Nawal El-Moutawakkil became the first woman from an Islamic nation to win an Olympic gold medal when she won the 400 metres hurdles. What was her nationality?
Moroccan.
It was. In what position did Steve Ovett finish in the 800 metres final in Montreal? His time was almost the same as in his gold medal win in Moscow.
He was 5th.
He was. Who ran the anchor leg in Britain's bronze medal winning team in the women's 4x400 metres relay in Barcelona?
Sally Gunnell.
Yes. Who won his only individual Olympic medal, a bronze, in the men's 400 metres hurdles in Barcelona? He was also a member of Britain's medal-winning teams in the 4x400 metres relay in Los Angeles and Barcelona.
Chris Akabusi.
Is correct. No passes, Teresa. You've scored 10 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Richard Cheney.
Your occupation?
Communication support worker.
And your chosen subject?
Is the Tolpuddle Martyrs.
The Tolpuddle Martyrs in 90 seconds. Here we go. The Tolpuddle Martyrs were a group of 6 19th-century Dorset farm workers who were arrested in February 1834 as a result of their trade union activities. What first name and surname is shared by one of the 6 and the constable who arrested them?
Bryan.
No, James Bryan. Who was the radical MP for Oldham who presented to Parliament a petition adopted by a meeting of about 10,000 people in support of the martyrs in March 1834?
Robert Owen.
William Cobbett. George Lovelace held public meetings about setting up an agricultural labourers' friendly society, a form of trade union, under a tree on Tolpuddle Village Green, now called the Martyrs' Tree. What species of tree is it?
Sycamore.
Yes. The 6 Tolpuddle men were charged under the 1817 Seditious Meetings Act and an Act of 1797 that included provisions against the swearing of oaths. What's that act called?
The Naval Mutinies?
Yes, the Mutiny Act. What password, based on a phrase from the Book of Ecclesiastes, was adopted at the first meeting of the Tolpuddle Friendly Society of Agricultural Labourers?
Either hand or heart?
Yes, the martyrs were sentenced to transportation to Australia. For how many years were they sentenced?
7.
Yes, George Lovelace was transported to Van Diemen's Land on the William Metcalfe, on which ship were the other 5 men transported to Sydney in April 1834?
The Surrey.
Yes. What was the name of the Home Secretary who granted the men a pardon in June 1835? It had to be temporarily rescinded because they hadn't served the minimum portion of their transportation.
Lord Russell.
Yes. On what ship did James Hammett take his free passage from New South Wales back to England in 1839?
The Eureka.
Yes, indeed it was. No passes, Richard. You have scored 7 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Pam Poole,
Your occupation?
retired Royal Mail manager.
And your chosen subject?
Gods and goddesses of ancient Egypt.
Gods and goddesses. 90 seconds starting now. The Egyptian cosmos consisted of a divine realm in the sky, the earth, and the underworld ruled by Osiris. What name was given to this underworld region? No, Duat. A variety of what plant emerged from the primeval waters in some versions of the Egyptian creation myth? It became a general symbol of rebirth and was also the emblem of the god Nefertem.
Lotus.
Yes, Horus, the son of Isis, grew up to avenge his murdered father Osiris. He is usually depicted as a man with the head of what bird?
A falcon.
Yep. Montu was a prominent war god of the Theban region and had temples at Armand, Medumed, Karnak, and another ancient Egyptian town. Which town?
Memphis.
Al-Tod. What was the name of the giant snake that attacked the boat of the sun god Ra every night as it passed through the underworld? However many times he was killed, he'd always come back to life again.
Apophis.
Yes. Which of the Egyptian deities known as the Two Ladies was commonly depicted in the form of a vulture?
Nekhbet.
Yes. What venomous creature is the goddess Serket traditionally associated with?
A scorpion.
Yes, the four gods, known collectively as the sons of Horus, were the traditional guardians of the canopic jars used to hold mummified internal organs. What organ of the body was protected by Imseti?
Liver.
Yes. What was the name of the architect who worked for King Joseph in the 27th century BC, who was later deified as a god of knowledge and healing?
Imhotep.
Yes, Imhotep. The 9 deities that included Isis and Osiris and their parents, Geb and Nut, were collectively known as the Great Ennead of an ancient city where they were worshipped. Which city?
Heliopolis.
Heliopolis is correct. No passes, Pam. You've scored 8 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Ben Holmes.
Your occupation?
Customer Service Advisor.
And your chosen subject?
Graphic novels of Daniel Clowes.
In 90 seconds, starting now, which novel opens with the main character, Marshall, waiting for a blind date, his first real date since his marriage broke down 6 years before?
Mr. Wonderful.
Yep. In Wilson, what is the name of the title character's dog?
Pepper.
Yes. Dan Pusey is invited to an exhibition by an artist who says that his works were inspired by Pusey's comics. What is the artist's name?
Pass.
What is the unusual middle name of David Boring, the eponymous narrator of Clowes' 4th graphic novel?
Jupiter.
Yes. In what year does Jack Barlow meet Bernie and take control of his time-travelling device so that he can travel back and find out who killed his wife, Patience?
2029.
Correct. What animal does Andy first try the death ray on after he discovers its power before he turns it on CJ?
A squirrel.
Yep. In Like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron, when Clay Loudermilk is in a religious cult, he's told by one of the members that the leader of the cult is mother and father to them and is known as God. What is God short for?
Godfrey.
Yep. In the sketch Mother, Wilson compares the loss of his mother to being told you will never be able to see what again?
The ocean.
Yes. In Mr. Wonderful, Marshall decides to start dating again after he has an ill-fated encounter with a drug addict who robbed him. Which literary and film character does he very unfavourably compare the girl to?
Pass.
In Ghost World, Daniel Clowes makes a special appearance at which comic store?
Xenophobia.
Yes. Which character's story in Icehaven is introduced with his claim that it's not as cold here as it sounds?
Random Wilder.
Yes. Wilson discovers that he has a grandson called Jason who he didn't know existed. In which American state is Jason living?
Alaska.
Is correct. You had 2 passes. That film character was Holly Golightly. And Dan Pusey was invited to an exhibition by Slugger Onions. You've scored 10 points.
Thank you.
And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Philip Isaac,
Your occupation?
tutor,
And your chosen subject?
Andrew Jackson.
President Andrew Jackson in 90 seconds, starting now. Jackson was the President of the United States from 1829 to 37. Whom did he lose to in the presidential election of 1824, even though he gained more votes?
John Quincy Adams.
Yep. Which Shawnee chieftain did Jackson see as a serious threat to white settlers in the War of 1812 against the British? He aimed to form a united army of the Native American tribes.
Tecumseh.
Yep. In October 1788, who accompanied Jackson to Nashville to take up their respective posts as judge and prosecutor?
John McNairy.
Correct. What financial burden was Jackson finally able to remove as president in 1835, 11 years after he made this policy in the 1824 election campaign?
Pass.
Jackson ordered a Scottish trader to be hanged after he was accused of spying for the Creek Indians. What was the trader's name?
Alexander Arbuthnot.
Yes. What term did Jackson's critics use for the informal group he set up to advise him in the White House that included friends from Tennessee?
Kitchen Cabinet.
Yep. An unemployed English house painter, Richard Lawrence, tried to murder Jackson in 1835, but failed when his pistols misfired twice. In what Washington building did this happen?
The Capitol.
Yep. At a convention held in 1833, a state threatened to secede from the Union in what became known as the nullification crisis. Which state?
South Carolina.
Yes. What important body did Jackson propose to abolish by means of a constitutional amendment in his first annual address to Congress?
Bank.
The Electoral College. Jackson's army fought the Battle of New Orleans because he had not yet received news of the peace treaty that had been signed with Britain 2 weeks earlier on Christmas Eve 1814. In which city was it signed?
Ghent.
Yep. And your time is up. You had one pass. The financial burden that Jackson was finally able to remove as president in 1835 was the national debt. You have scored, Philip, 8 points. So, that's the end of a very close first round. Let's have a look at all of those scores. In fifth place, 7 points, Richard. Joint third place, 8 points apiece, Pam and Philip. Joint first place, 10 points apiece, Teresa and Ben. So, general knowledge round now, and if there's a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. So let's get on with it and ask Richard to join us again, please. And you start out with 7 points, Richard. So, not much in it, and you've got 2 minutes of general knowledge. Here we go. What respiratory disease has types known as Spanish, Asian and Hong Kong because they're the presumed places of origin?
Flu?
Yep. Which river is the principal tributary of the Mississippi?
Missouri.
Yes. What sport is featured in the 1969 film Downhill Racer starring Robert Redford and Gene Hackman?
Motor racing?
Skiing. In which television series, first shown in 2014, does a Cambridgeshire clergyman, played by James Norton, investigate a series of mysterious wrongdoings in his small village?
Midsummer Murders?
Grantchester. Saint-Emilion, Pomerol and Entre-deux-Mers come from what wine region of France?
Champagne?
Bordeaux. In which ancient civilization were the heavily armed foot soldiers known as hoplites?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
In which ancient civilization were the heavily armed foot soldiers known as hoplites?
Roman?
Greek. What is the name of the mosque on the site in Jerusalem known as the Noble Sanctuary to Muslims and the Temple Mount to Jews? It's the third holiest site of Sunni Islam.
Dome of the Black Rock?
The Al-Aqsa Mosque. In 1959, which soldier and statesman became the first president of France's Fifth Republic, a post he held for 10 years?
Charles de Gaulle.
Yeah. The Blackdown Hills, designated an area of outstanding natural beauty in 1991, lie on the border of Somerset and which other county?
Devon.
Yes. Anne Shirley is the title character in which 1908 novel by L.M. Montgomery and its sequels?
Sorry, could you repeat it?
Anne Shirley is the title character in which 1908 novel by L.M. Montgomery and its sequels?
Anne of Green Gables?
Yes. Which branch of mathematics is concerned with the properties of geometrical objects that are unchanged by any continuous deformations, such as stretching or twisting?
Trigonometry?
Topology. Who became the first British winner of the Eurovision Song Contest in 1967 with Puppet on a String?
Sandy Shore.
Yep. The golden lion tamarin, one of the most endangered species of primates, is native to which South American country?
Bolivia.
Brazil. It started with B at any rate, so you're not quite there. But you had no passes, Richard. You have scored a total now of 13 points.
Thank you.
And now Pam again, please. And you start out with 8 points, Pam. Let's see how you do in your 2 minutes of general knowledge, starting now. Which of Shakespeare's heroines had the surname Capulet before she married a Montague?
Juliet.
Yep. Which former Bond girl appears with her husband Ringo Starr in the 1984 film Give My Regards to Broad Street?
Barbara Bach.
Yep. Joey is the title character of a book by the former children's laureate Michael Molpergo that was adapted for the cinema by Steven Spielberg. Which book?
Warhorse.
Yes, the area in the south of Borneo known as Kalimantan that makes up 3/4 of the island is a part of which country?
Indonesia.
Yes, who was given a name that means rock by Christ because he would be the foundation his church would be built on?
St. Peter.
Yes, the orbit of which planet lies between Mercury and Earth?
Venus.
Yes, the violent confrontation between police and striking miners that took place in June 1984 at a coking plant in South Yorkshire is commonly called the Battle of...
Orgrave.
Yes. What baked Middle Eastern dessert consists of sheets of phyllo pastry layered with chopped nuts soaked in honey or syrup and usually cut into diamond shapes?
Baklava.
Yes, in April 2017, Madeira named its international airport after a locally born footballer. Who?
Ronaldo.
Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo. What cabinet post did Winston Churchill hold from 1924 to 29?
Border Trade.
Chancellor of the Exchequer. Labour's Keith Vaz, Liz Kendall and Jonathan Ashworth were elected as MPs for which city at the 2015 general election?
Sheffield.
Leicester. Illuminations were switched on in a Lancashire resort for the first time in September 1879, although the more modern style lights didn't arrive until 1912. Which resort?
Blackpool.
Yep. Which 79 hit for the London band Squeeze begins with the half-rhyming couplet, I never thought that it would happen with me and the girl from Clapham?
Up the Junction.
Yep. Who starred opposite John Alderton in the 1972 television series My Wife Next Door and went on to appear in Upstairs Downstairs?
Hannah Gordon.
Yes. The Slough of Despond, Vanity Fair and Doubting Castle are among the places Christian passes on his way to the Celestial City, in which work by John Bunyan?
Pilgrim's Progress.
Yes, the Army Regiment formed in 1969 by the amalgamation of the Royal Horse Guards with the Royal Dragoons is known by what name?
Blues and Royals.
Blues and Royals is correct. No passes, Pam. You've scored a total now of 22 points. And now Philip again, please. And Philip, you also start out with 8 points. The difference now is that you have 22 to beat in order to get into the grand final. Let's see if you can do it with 2 minutes of general knowledge starting now. Guard mounting is the formal name of the ceremony that takes place at Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle. How's it better known?
Changing of guard.
Yes, Savruga and Ossetra are two of the 3 main varieties of what luxury foodstuff?
Caviar.
Yep. What was the name of the judge who presided over the trial of the Duke of Monmouth's followers in 1685 in what became known as the Bloody Assizes?
Jeffreys.
Yes, in the 1989 film Roadhouse, who plays Dalton, an expert bouncer hired to clean up an unruly Midwest saloon bar?
Patrick Leahy.
Yes, the Verkhovna Rada, meaning Supreme Council, is the unicameral parliament of which East European country?
Path.
The winter plumage of a bird in the grouse family that inhabits the highest tops of the Scottish mountains is completely white except for its tail and eye patch. Which bird?
Ptarmigan.
Yes, Sigurd from Norse mythology is better known by what name in German mythology?
Siegfried.
Yes, what name is given to the teeth at the back of a mammal's mouth that are used for crushing and grinding? The adult human has 6 in each jaw.
Molars.
Yep. In which British city was the architect Charles Rennie Mackintosh born in 1868? One of his most notable works, the City School of Art, was badly damaged by fire in 2014.
Glasgow.
Yes, what is the stage name of the Grammy award-winning American female singer who topped the UK singles charts in 2002 with Just Like a Pill?
Pink.
Yes, what is the name of Sherlock Holmes' older brother in the stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle?
Mycroft.
Yes, which author's 3rd novel, The Goldfinch, took her 11 years to write and won the 2014 Pulitzer Prize for Fiction?
Donna Tartt.
Yes, in which sport did Trina Gulliver win the Women's World Championship for the 10th time in January 2016? Her first success came in 2001.
Darts.
Yes, in which 2017 television series does Tom Hardy play James Delaney, who returns home from Africa to rebuild his late father's shipping empire, but finds himself opposed by both the British government and the East India Company?
Taboo.
Yes. In which novel by Evelyn Waugh is a teddy bear named Aloysius the constant companion of Sebastian Flyte, the younger son of Lord and Lady Marchmain?
Brideshead Revisited.
Brideshead Revisited is correct. You had one pass. The Parliament is the Parliament of Ukraine. You, Philip, have scored a total of 22 points. And now, Teresa, again, please. And you start out with 10 points, Teresa, but as you will have noted, the score to beat is 22. So, here we go. What name is given to the short-lived male honeybees whose only role is to mate with the queen?
The drone?
Yep. Old Ned was the theme tune to a television comedy series about a socially ambitious son who works as a rag and bone man with his father. Which series?
Steptoe and Son.
Yep. Which leading member of the pop art movement designed the Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers album cover featuring a pair of jeans with a fully functioning zip?
Andy Warhol?
Yep. In which city was the American Declaration of Independence signed in 1776?
Philadelphia.
Correct. What is the name of the principal hormone that's responsible for the development of masculine characteristics such as facial hair and deepening of the voice?
Testosterone.
Yep. In 1990, which Conservative politician introduced his controversial cricket test when he suggested that cricket fans of Asian heritage could not be regarded as loyal until they supported England?
Norman Tebbit.
Yes. What is the highest denomination found in the specially struck silver coins that make up the Maundy money presented by the sovereign?
£5.
4 pence. Which Australian port and capital city of the Northern Territory is on Beagle Gulf, an inlet of the Timor Sea?
Cairns.
Darwin. The peacock is a relative of a game bird found in Britain whose males are brightly coloured. What game bird?
Pheasant.
Yep. In what 1991 film does Jessica Tandy's character tell the story of her relative Idgie Threadgood, who ran the local cafe at Whistle Stop in Alabama?
Green fried tomatoes.
Fried green tomatoes. Which band had #2 hits in the UK singles charts in 1991 with Last Train to Transcentral and Justified and Ancient?
The KLF.
Yes. To which musical instrument is the Chantry Museum in Morpeth in Northumberland dedicated? It's the home county of one of the instrument's variants.
Pipes.
Yeah, the bagpipes. What name is given to the highly seasoned dry-cured beef that is a feature of New York Jewish cuisine?
Jerky.
Pastrami. At what school was the hapless Smike a pupil in Charles Dickens' novel Nicholas Nickleby?
Can you repeat the question?
At what school was the hapless Smike a pupil in Charles Dickens' novel Nicholas Nickleby?
No. Pass.
In which country were the tennis players Justine Henin and Kim Clijsters born?
Belgium.
Belgium is correct. That school was Do the Boys Hall. You've scored, Teresa, 20 points.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, Ben, again, please. And you also start out with 10 points, Ben, and 22 is still the score to beat if you're to get through to the grand final. Here we go. Which organisation was founded by Robert Baden-Powell? Its branches include Beavers and Cubs.
The Boy Scouts.
Yep. What name is given to an earthenware dish with a tall conical lid used in North Africa and also to a stew cooked in one?
Tagine.
Yep. Who wrote the 1995 novel Jackson's Dilemma? It was a final book and its limited vocabulary is said to have revealed early signs of the Alzheimer's disease that caused her death 4 years later.
Doris Lessing.
Iris Murdoch. Who was the voice of the vegetarian vampire Count Duckula in the spin-off from the original Danger Mouse television cartoon series?
David Jason.
Yes, in Greek mythology, the city of Athens was named after the goddess Athena after she beat Poseidon in a competition to offer the most useful gift to its citizens. What tree was Athena's gift?
Olive Tree.
Yes, Flint's Island by Leonard Wibberley and Silver's Revenge by Robert Leeson are among the sequels to which novel by Robert Louis Stevenson?
Treasure Island.
Yes. Who became the fourth woman to train a Grand National winner when One for Arthur won the race in 2017?
Jones.
Russell. Who was the father of Alexei, Olga, Tatiana, Maria and Anastasia? He and his family were murdered in July 1918.
Nicholas II.
Correct. Sir Sidney Nolan is best known for his paintings of the landscape of his native Australia and of which famous Australian outlaw?
Ned Kelly.
He is correct. What is the name of the British boy band who had 3 chart-topping albums between 2001 and 2003 entitled All Rise, One Love and Guilty?
Blue.
Yep. Who became the founder and leader of the British Union of Fascists after a visit to Italy in 1932?
Mosley.
Yes, the infant James V was crowned in 1513 and his infant daughter Mary was crowned in 1543 in the Chapel Royal of a castle in central Scotland. Which castle?
Stirling.
Yes. What is the title of the 1968 Disney comedy that features a Volkswagen Beetle called Herbie with a mind of its own?
The Love Bug.
Yes. By what name of native Peruvian origin is the cougar or mountain lion more generally known?
Jaguar.
Puma. The historic region of Silesia lies mostly in the southwest corner of which country?
Poland.
Yes. In computing, what term for programs such as viruses and worms written to disrupt the operation of a computer is a contraction of malicious software?
Malware.
Is correct. Ben, you have scored a total of 23 points. Well, what a contest. Couldn't have been closer than that, could it? Let's have a look at all of the scores. In 5th place, 13 points, Richard. 4th place, 20 points, Teresa. Joint 2nd place, 22 points apiece, Pam and Philip. 1st place, he just scraped in 23 points. Ben. Which means that Ben goes through to the final, the grand final. Congratulations to him. And if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us on Twitter @MastermindQuiz. And do join us again next time for more Mastermind semi-finals. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.